And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Chachere, joining you for the latest updates in regards to UNC athletics. Of course, we are entering UCF week. Earlier today we had a press conference with Bill Belichick, the head coach of North Carolina, and he previewed the UCF matchup. We also got to speak with Malkart Abu Jaude and Daniel Kane. Of course, Malkart Abu Jaude he's the defensive end for UNC. He's been the starter the last three games. Really came to UNC to be more, to be a rotation player. And when I mean by rotation player, I mean like get a lot of snaps, right? He is in the spot that was originally supposed to go to Price Yates, but we know Price Yates is out with an injury, and we don't have a timetable on his injury, and that's also according to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick said there's no timetable on his injury and when he'd be able to come back. So hopefully he comes back pretty soon because he's a really really good pass rusher. It was somebody that was supposed to contribute in a big way to UNC's defense, and also the more depth, the better. And he's a really good pass rusher. And the way Malkart Abu Jaude has been performing with him on the other side, I think UNC's defensive line becomes an even better unit. Speaking of the defense, they have been a hot commodity as of late for UNC. Of course, we all know the offense has been struggling, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Just because UNC has been known more for its offense. I mean, they've had some fantastic offenses under Mac Brown with Sam Howell and Dami Brown and all those different cats, and then of course with Drake May and Omarion Hampton, there's a lot of really really good offensive players. Willie Lampkin, of course, you can't forget about him. We got to show the offensive linemen some love. So they've always had a lot of dudes on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, really, even since the beginning of the century, right? Even before Sam Howell and Drake May, you also had Darian Durant in the mid-2000s quarterback. You also had T.J. Yates and Bryn Renner. There's a lot of what's his name? Akeem Nicks. There's been a lot of really, really good offensive players throughout the 21st century for the Tar Heels. So UNC's really been known more for its offense. But the defense is, oh boy. I think I've heard enough about UNC's defenses already, about how bad they've been. I kind of knew that going in. But one of the things that North Carolina fans like to gripe about is how bad the UNC defense has been. And rightfully so. I mean, I've talked about how bad the defenses have been in the past. But it seems like this flipped the script. It went from the offense being elite to the defense being sorry to now the defense, now I wouldn't say elite, but is the best component of your team, while the offense has been poo. I will say, though, that the running game has been getting better, of course, with a guy like Damon June, who has shown flashes of what he can be. I mean, especially last week when he ran for 148 yards and ran for a touchdown as well. I mean, just an extremely explosive back, something that UNC has been greatly missing. But then also, it's really been the run game. Of course, we've seen Jordan Shipp and have flashes of greatness, and we've seen Chris Culver. We see what he can do down the field, and Jake Johnson's been getting some catches as well. He's getting more involved in the passing game as well. But the passing game in general has just been right? They have a lot of issues. But the defense, and I wouldn't say it's elite, but the defense has been really, really good. I know it's Richmond and I know it's Charlotte, but against Charlotte, they allowed 270 yards of offense, and against Richmond, they allowed under 200 yards, 199 to be exact. And they've been fantastic. I mean, the first two games of the year, they only had one sack, and it came from a linebacker. In the last game, they had 3 sacks. They had three sacks in one game compared to one in the previous two games. The defensive line has been getting better. Of course, the linebacker play has been great. Kamari House and Andrew Simpson really have been. Talk about the linebackers. They've been great. And really, Thaddeus Dixon really has been the only one that stands out to you, right? Because no one wants to throw to his side. That lets you know everything you need to know. And Will Hardy's been solid as well. He hasn't really made any plays yet because he's never really had to. But he's been solid. But it's just a huge. It's a huge difference in what the UNC defense looks now compared to week one. Of course, they will be testing against UCF, and UCF is a very explosive offense. So we'll get to see how much they've truly improved. But it's been noticeable, that some things, like some kinks that they had against CC have been fixed. Not everything's been fixed, but you could tell some of the kinks that, some of the issues they had in week one have been somewhat fixed. Of course, we won't know how much they've been fixed until the Saturday when the Tar Heels play UCF in Orlando. But it's been very clear that they've improved. And that's something I asked Bill Belichick. I asked him how confident he was in the defense and the progress they've made. And he said, we've definitely made a lot of progress. Our fundamentals are better. We're more consistent in our run fits and our coverage adjustments and things like that. Are we there yet? No, of course not. We have a long way to go, but we are definitely making progress. And I think as those players play together and they have more confidence in each other, our communication improves with different adjustments and challenges the offense gives us. They don't want to make it easy for us. We have to handle the hard things, but we're doing better at that. It's getting better. Coach Frost, I think they led the nation in scoring when he was here. He was here at UCF the last time, and they threw up 60, however many points it was last week. That's very explosive. Well, it wasn't last week. It was 2 weeks ago because last week they did a bye, but who cares? They put up 68 points on NC-A&T, which I understand it's NC-A&T, but they put up 68 points, and they're really good, really good running team. So we'll see how we're coming along. This is what Bill Belichick said. Continuing what Bill Belichick said. So we'll see how we're coming along this week, but we're definitely getting better. And not just the linebackers, I say the entire unit, the defensive backs, the defensive line, just the communication between those different levels of the defense. Sometimes communicating the same level is part of it because we're all sort of doing the same thing, but then communicating with the guys in front of us or behind us is something a little more challenging, but they're all important, so we'll stress all of it, and we're definitely getting better. I also want to mention this. Against TCU, they had 19 missed tackles, and that is a lot, right? And really, to be honest with you, I really felt like they had more. I felt like 19 was a little bit too low. I thought they had 30, just because it seemed like every other play, they were missing tackles. But against Richmond, they only had 2. They only had 2 missed tackles. And that's huge. That's extremely huge because I know it's Richmond. But at the same time, when you have missed tackle problems, they'll appear no matter who the opponent is. And I know this because I have, my dad's a college football coach. I've been around a lot of college football my entire life. So I've seen, there's been, I went, 12 weeks straight week. Well, not 12 straight weeks, but you know what I'm saying. I saw a lot of football in my lifetime. I've seen a lot of bad defenses. When you are a bad tackling team, they appear no matter who it is. I was covering LSU 2 years ago for the 2023 team. That defense was bad enough that it kept out an elite offensive team in LSU with Jane Daniels, Brian Thomas, and Malik Neighbors. I literally saw them. I literally saw one of the best offenses I think college football's seen. And really, that was the best offense that LSU's seen since Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase did their thing. But they were so bad at defense that it cost them a lot of games. It cost them a playoff spot. It cost them the SEC championship. Luckily, it didn't cost Jane Daniels the Heisman. But they should have achieved a lot more with the talent they had in offense. And they were bad every single week. They were missing tackles against Grambling. They were missing tackles against really bad teams. And in the first game against TCU, they had 19 missed tackles. Against Charlotte, they had 7. That reduced because, of course, that's a Division I team. Even as bad as Charlotte is, it's still a Division I team. They had 7 missed tackles. And then the last game, they had 2. It's very clear that North Carolina is getting better. They're getting better at defense. And they're not there yet, like Coach Belichick said, but they're getting better. They are getting better. And by the way, I just want to mention this. You remember how I mentioned the 2023 LSU team? How I mentioned they were missing tackles against Grambling? They had 11 missed tackles against Grambling. And Grambling, as a program right now, in the last 5 years, and I know this because I used to cover college football in Louisiana. As I mentioned, I covered LSU. That's a losing program. Richmond is a program that's been the FCS playoffs the last 3 years. UNC only missed 2 tackles. LSU in 2023 missed 11 tackles against that Grambling offense. That's my point. Like, no matter how bad, if you're a bad tackling team, they're going to show up no matter who they play. And we've seen them get better at tackling, especially in open space. We've seen them shut down the run. The pass doesn't really mean much. Charlotte and Richmond aren't great passing teams, but we've seen them tackle better. We've seen them get better, and I think we'll see them continue to get better. Their defensive staff is very good. Steve Belichick is a decent defensive play caller. He greatly improved that Washington team. Bob Diaco is one of the better position coaches around. Bob Diaco is a great defense. He doesn't really coach the defensive line all throughout his career, but he's been known as a guy who is a great defensive-minded coach. He's coached the linebackers and coached outside linebackers and coached the line. They got Jamie Collins. Yes, he hasn't coached before, but he's played at the highest level. And he's coaching 2 of the best linebackers in the ACC, and Andrew Simpson and Kamari House. That says something. This is a solid defensive staff. And that doesn't shock me that this defense has gotten better over time. And that's what you need, especially when you're going against a UCF offense. That is a top 25 offense. They're 21st in total offense in the country. They're average nearly 500 yards a game, 491.0 to be exact. And yes, I know they played Jacksonville State, and I know they played North Carolina A&T. But it's still a solid offensive team. Scott Frost is a really good offensive coach. I know his time in Nebraska didn't work out, but they still had some decent offenses in Nebraska. They still had some good offenses in Nebraska. And, of course, they had some lead offenses at UCF. So, UNC is getting everything together at the right time defensively. And I truly believe in this defense going to this UCF game. I don't know if they'll be able to shut down UCF, but I highly doubt it will be a colossal mess up like it was against TCU. I think it'll be better. I think it'll be more sound because the coaching staff and the players on that team understand their roles better. Offense is the question, and we'll get to them sometime this week. But the defense is coming together at the right time, especially when you have a very pivotal game against UCF in Orlando this Saturday at 3:30 p.m. And the game, of course, will be broadcast on Fox. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am Grant Chachere, the beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Chachere Grant, my last name and first name. And if you can't spell my last name, all you got to do is pull up the Tony Chachere's off the cabinet, look at it, and there you go. Also, make sure to follow Tar Heels on SI on Twitter at Tar Heels on SI. And then also make sure to go follow our Facebook page on Facebook, of course. Just look up North Carolina Tar Heels on SI, and it will be one of the first things that pops up, if not the first thing. So make sure to go do all of that. And also go make sure to check out our website, si.com/college/UNC. And that's where you're going to find all of our content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys have a great rest of your day.